Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wander to the Edge. My name is Adam Asher from the Edge of Adventure.
I'm Zan. I'm from Where Gals Wander.
Zan, happy Saturday. How you doing?
Happy Saturday. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And how's the arm? Okay, is this okay? We'll know you have a question if you raise your cast.
Well, you know what, Adam?
Mhm.
I hate to tell you this, but I think we need somebody on the show to really tell it like it is.
Somebody to tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And preferably someone who can not only tell it like it is, but find a way to be positive in the process.
Yes. And
Right.
real.
Somebody real, right?
Yep.
We're not into fake. That's not what this show is about. This is about being real. And today's guest is certainly all about that. But you're going to enjoy getting to know our guest today. Zan, do me a favor. Why don't you intro her while I'll pull up a picture of her real quick.
Okay. Sounds great. So joining us today is Geeves from Real Girl Review. That's a picture of her right there. We're really looking forward to learning a little bit more about her travels, 170 days a year, about how she tells it like it is, and just being real and authentic. And I think you're going to really enjoy.
So stick around. That is today. She's our special guest coming up next right here on
Wander to the Edge. Hello.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. And in person, live, not your animated figure.
I was going to say, I wonder how many people thought that they'd be like looking at a cartoon the whole time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something though?
But that's great. That's quite a logo. Did you draw that? Is this you? Did you create that?
Oh, goodness. I wish I drew that. No, actually, it was modeled after me, but I found this amazing animator named Ingrid Umbach off of Twitter, and I saw her work, loved her work. She works for Universal Studios now, but when I met her, she was a beginner, and she just creates such amazing drawings. And I love how spot on she got it. She got like my little, cheeks and everything. She's just so good.
I dig those boots too, by the way.
It's definitely
I have those boots actually.
It's definitely got your attitude, your pizzazz. So that's amazing. I think you're an amazing person. And how do you travel 370 days a year?
170.
I know.
170 days a year. Well, I was doing a lot of online work, and that kind of allowed me to do traveling because, when you're a digital nomad, you can be anywhere in the world that you want. And I happened to make some really good investments earlier on with another business of mine that gave me, the freedom and flexibility. And I'm like, what do I want to do with all this free time? And I'm like, hello, travel. So I did.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. And with the last year and a half being what it's been, like, how has that kind of impacted your ability to travel?
Oh, the last year and a half has been a little tricky with the pandemic. Usually I like to travel all over the world, but what I've been mainly doing is just focusing on domestic. And we have such a beautiful country, right? So there are no shortage of places to go. I've been doing a lot of road trips, local road trips in New England, but also coastal road trips. I've went down all the way to Florida from Maine, from the easternmost point of the U.S. in Lubec, Maine, all the way down to the southernmost point of the U.S. in Key West, Florida. So it has been such a ride. I'm not going to let the pandemic stop me from doing what I love. I'm just doing it safely, of course. And I got my whole sanitation kit and making sure to wipe everything down when I go to hotels and make sure to socially distance and keep the mask on. You can still enjoy your life during the pandemic, just, be safe and cautious. So that's what I've been trying to do, especially with my lupus. It's an autoimmune condition. So just trying to, keep it safe. And I've written a blog about that as well, how you can stay safe with an autoimmune condition during COVID, because we're at high risk with their autoimmunity, but you can still do it. Don't let it stop you.
So if we go to your website, which we'll pull that up in a few minutes, but if we go to your website, realgirlreview.com, what are we going to find? I mean, what is this concept that you are conveying through your website, through your blog, your social media, of being real?
So I really like to portray something that when I first started a couple years ago, I didn't really see. And that's just being 100% oneself, even if you're showing people flaws. Sometimes I've shown myself when I had a bad hair day, or I'm just broken out with acne. And I just feel that it's important to let the people who are following you relate to you. Sometimes you see these quote unquote influencers and they just look absolutely stunning, and they're posed to perfection, and everything is right. But even they will admit that that is not how they usually are, and everything is not perfect usually, but that's how they portray themselves. And I wanted to do something differently so that people could feel inspired and relate to me, but also, want to be a better version of themselves while accepting who they are, not feeling like, well, I should be, more like that. I should be skinnier, or I should, look better, or, be this or be that. I want to encourage people to be who they are and live their best lives. So when you go to my website, you see a little mixture of travel adventure stories and tips and how-to guides and things that I've learned traveling. And sometimes I've shared some really disastrous stories on there, bad experiences I've had, because, Real Girl Review is all about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I don't hold anything back. That's why we're real here. We are totally 100% real. But that's what makes for the funny stories and reviews. So a little bit of travel, also mixed in with real life stories. I share a bit about my lupus journey, and I share a little bit of my dating experiences, which is always a little, a little weird, especially in the beginning of COVID. Let me tell you, that was really odd. But I put everything up there, and dating tips and safety tips for women. I just love being an advocate and supporter of other women and empowering them to be, all that they can be. And, we got to stick together, right, Zan?
That we do. That we absolutely do. And I appreciate you saying that about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because as you can tell, still with the cast, I can only do half my hair right now. So thank you for being forgiving and accepting.
Quick question, Zan, which half did you do?
Adam, you're going to get it. No.
It's all right. It's all good. It's all good.
How are you, Zan? The first time, actually, we tried to do the podcast, and then we had to cancel.
Yeah. I apologize for that.
No worries. Oh my goodness, don't apologize. I'm so sorry. How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm good. I'm still in the cast. I broke my elbow, my wrist in a few places. I broke off that little bone right there, and I broke my hand here. So this is my third cast, and now it's just the wrist. I've got some plates and some screws and stuff in there waiting to get that healed up. So
you're like the bionic woman.
I am.
Oh, you poor thing. I hope that you heal soon, though.
Thanks.
They say that taking pictures is not supposed to be dangerous, but I understand Zan's not the only one who has had a mishap with a camera in every cast.
This one I feel guilty about. Okay, so my mom had a very similar break to yours. Actually, she did the same exact thing. She broke her hand, she broke parts of her wrist, and she broke her elbow, and she had to get plates. One day we were at a really cool sightseeing spot in Maine, and she was balancing on a rock in the lake. Let's just say I wanted to get her in one of those, yoga poses, balancing, and that did not go well. So she fell, and I still feel guilty 1 year later. I just feel so bad. But yeah, much like yourself, she's trying to heal. Still, even to this day, she has a hard time buttoning and zipping her pants.
They told me it's probably going to be a year before I get full mobility back through the whole thing. So, but it's travel advice for everyone listening out there, for all the travelers. You have to watch out for rocks. They are much more dangerous than you think.
So slippery.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I hope you feel soon, though. And
thanks.
Yeah, all kidding aside, it was pretty scary. And as we've said a few different times on the show here, it was a very, very serious situation. I'm sure it was with your mom as well. And these things are, they're not good. And fortunately, they weren't any worse than that. I mean, it's going to take her some time. She's going to have to heal and going to have to take it easy, which is difficult to do, because the thing I know about Zan is she does not like to slow down. She likes to keep making progress, to keep being, the same level, I guess, of performance in all regards, and work and everything else. But you have to take some time, and you have to let other people take care of you during this time. So I know the family there has been, I'm sure, very good to you, Zan, and waited on you hand and foot, I'm hoping. We'll come back to that. But let's talk about taking pictures and what kind of pictures are the best. One of the things, Geeves, that's interesting about your brand and this concept and the sort of the energy that you share is that it's supposed to be real. And one of the reasons, or one of the ways that you achieve this, is what? You don't take these photos and go edit them? Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you're right about that. Well, sort of. I'm going to be perfectly honest. So there are some times when I'm at a location that's really super dark, and then I might have to brighten the photo up just a little bit. But if I have any kind of mistake going on the photo, like if I have food in my teeth, like literally I've had times where I've looked at photos later, beautiful landscape, beautiful everything, and then I have freaking food in my teeth. But anyway, I don't edit anything. It all stays there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you're not going to ever see a photo of mine and be like, that looks gorgeous. Is it photoshopped? No, it's not. But sometimes the photos don't look that great. But I try to be 100% real. So I'm like, it is what it is. Saves me time from editing too, though.
Yeah. Ever since we started this, I'm like, there's no point in putting on a filter, because there's no filters on this. Like, everybody knows what I look like. Take it or leave it. There you go. So
what you see is what you get. But
that's right. That's right.
Pretty lovely, Zan. So
you're so
don't worry about
there.
So, Zan, is it your turn to ask a question? Because I've got one right.
Yes. Actually, I have another question about that. So you were talking about traveling during the pandemic, and I think that you said at one point you were staying in Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's kind of a cool fact.
So it's kind of crazy, actually. So January 2020, right before the pandemic really blew out, I had just broken up with my boyfriend, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to take some time for me. So I planned a 6-month road trip from the easternmost point of the U.S. in Lubec, Maine, and I planned to go down all the way to the southernmost point of the U.S. in Key West, Florida. In the middle of the trip, I kind of got stuck. Actually, I didn't end up making it down in the time that I had allotted for myself. It took me way longer. I was stuck in one of the Keys when COVID fully broke out and we were in lockdown. So I was stuck in Key Largo, but I was at an Airbnb, and it was absolutely gorgeous, right on the water. I was swimming with the manatees and the sharks. I mean, you could not ask for a better situation in a time like a pandemic. I felt kind of guilty, actually, talking to my friends. They're like, I'm in lockdown in my tiny cramped apartment in the city. And I'm like, I can't even talk about my life right now because I just can't believe how lucky I got. And then something happened where they opened up the floodgates, because in Florida, we were protected. So the Keys were separated from the mainland, and we were protected. So we had our safe little, zone away from everyone else, right? Away from the rest of the country. And then they opened the floodgates in June, and everyone came, all the tourists came running in. And I, having, an autoimmune condition and being especially predisposed to something like, COVID, I decided to go to one of the safest spots in the country, which at the time was Maine. It was like the second safest spot next to Vermont. So I went there. I had been there, for day trips here and there over the last, 8 or so years that I've been living in New England, but I never stayed there for long term. So I went to another Airbnb, this time instead of the beach and the mountains, Sugarloaf, Carrabassett Valley, it's a ski resort area. So idyllic. Even though there was no snow, it was just so beautiful. I've never hiked so much in my life. You maybe don't know this about me, but I'm not typically what you would call a nature girl. I like, nature in small doses, and mostly like going places where I can, look fabulous and dress cutesy and go for cocktails and that kind of thing. So this was like a total 180, changed anything that I had ever experienced before. So after I did that Airbnb, I went to an Airbnb on the water in Southwest Harbor, Maine. And I kind of just bopped all around, I didn't have a place at the time because I shared an apartment with my boyfriend in Boston. And since we were no longer together, I was like, I'm just going to experience all these different Airbnbs. And then my last one was in Vermont. So now I have my house. I purchased a property that I'm currently renovating. But that was a fun period for like a year and a half, just living in all these different Airbnbs all over.
How many different Airbnbs do you think you were in during that time?
During that time? Oh, I would say at least 6. Wow. Yeah, some longer than others, but some for like 3-4 months or more. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, Geeves, you've mentioned a couple of times about lupus. And I know that from reading your blog that this is kind of in the theme of Real Girl Review. This is not an aspect of your life that you're hiding or making excuses for. You share it. So let me just ask this question about it, I guess.
Okay.
What has it taught you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I was diagnosed when I was 17. I'm going on 27 now. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Wow. So it's been like 10 years. It's been a journey. So I've learned a whole lot, but mainly just to, embrace, the situation that you're in. Don't feel ashamed or, try to hide it, because, when you're in the situation that I'm in right now, sometimes you need the help of others. And if your loved ones don't know what you have and they don't know, your off days, they can't help you. So when I do have my off days, I like to take rest for myself. I'm usually like Zan. I'm constantly going. I like to get a lot done. And I'm not one of those people who just, rests easily. I have to feel like I've earned it. So it's really hard whenever I have like a lupus flare up and have to be in bed. But, give yourself some self-love and self-care and take the time for yourself. But another big thing that I've learned is to not take a single day for granted. So there used to be a time when I was constantly in and out of hospitals. That was several years ago. Knock on wood, I've reached a point in my health where I am so healthy that sometimes it feels like I don't have lupus. And I have, regular doctors that I see and medication that I take. So my health is under control. But I like to take advantage of every single day that I feel good. And if I do have to be in, bed resting, I do like to plan for adventures and things to look forward to. So don't let your situation become you, and don't take a single day for granted. Live like it's your last day, or live like tomorrow you're going to be in the hospital. I know that sounds horrible, but that's just how I've had to live.
So something else you and I have in common, I also have an autoimmune condition. I have Hashimoto's. So not as severe, but, still can put you in bed for a few days, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, I've had mine for like 30 years now. So it is what it is, right?
Wow.
For those who don't understand or they're not familiar with lupus, kind of share with us what a bad day looks like.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what lupus is, it's basically like your body's allergic to itself, I guess is the way that my doctor kind of put it to me, which sounds weird, but it's basically like a civil war within your body. Your body can't distinguish the good cells from the bad cells, so it causes inflammation, causes pain. I have systemic lupus, so it can cause, luckily it hasn't, but it can cause internal organ damage, and luckily I've not had anything of the sort. I'm one of the better lupus cases, but a typical day for me is usually, if I have a flare-up, that is, it's me being in bed. I'll usually wake up and either feel like the Tin Man, which is super stiff, like I can't really move and my body just won't let me control my reactions and my movements, or the reverse, which is me feeling like a noodle and kind of just like, a pile of like mud, if you can imagine that, where I'm just like sprawled out on the bed and can't, really do anything. But something that I've learned really works is, and I'm not giving medical advice, but I've learned just doing like a mummy wrap with ace bandages really helps me, and heating pads. Because, there's no cure for lupus. But yeah, I luckily have such a strong support system who really helps me. And, when I have those off days, they take care of me.
Yeah.
So rare now, luckily, that I have those flare-ups.
Geeves, what is originally home for you? You've talked about the Keys, you've been on the East Coast, this whole excursion to Maine, but
Yeah.
home for you is what part of the country?
So home for me right now is Maine. So like an hour and a half from Portland, which is one of the big cities in Maine. And I've been here since the beginning of, I've been here since last summer. I thought I was just going to go to an Airbnb, but I fell in love with the scenery so much that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to live here. And then I did.
And you grew up in what part of the country?
I grew up on the West Coast, so I've split half of my life between both coasts. So half of my life on the West Coast, half of my life on the East Coast.
And now here's another tough question. What is TikTok?
TikTok. Oh my goodness. I'm a millennial, and my Gen Z sister sometimes makes me feel like I'm so old. She actually got me on it. So TikTok is a social media platform. Basically like Instagram or, any of those platforms. It used to be for like dancing videos, you put music to it and try to replicate, like a video or whatever. But it is so much more than that, let me tell you. If you have been reluctant to sign up for TikTok because you think that it's just for, silly, stupid dance videos, it is so much more. It's tutorials, it's tips and life advice. It's inspirational, motivational tidbits as well. I do a little bit of everything. I like to share my travel anecdotes through there, also product reviews, and just, sharing daily life and inspiring people.
Zan, do you know anybody else who's on TikTok?
I just launched my first TikTok for Where Gals Wander. So
I'm going to follow you. I didn't know that you had a TikTok.
My daughter set it up for me because Adam and I just kept making fun of each other. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to give it a try. So now that I'm on there, Adam has to go on there too.
You have to go on, Adam. You won't be disappointed. You spread wander to the edge all over the place.
That's right.
Yes, TikTok.
Hey, do it. You're not going to be sorry.
Adam makes me do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Adam makes me do all the social media for Wander to the Edge. So if there's a Wander to the Edge TikTok, that's going to be me.
Look, I'll help. But just the whole TikTok, I think, there's just no end. There's just no end. But I'm teasing. Of course, I know what TikTok is. I just haven't been able to convince myself to spend time over there. And it might be because because of the dancing videos, but also there's so much of that TikTok now course, that bleeds over onto Instagram. They'll, you know,
Oh, totally.
and
Actually, I
then
think it's taken over Instagram, basically. Everyone's on TikTok now.
Except they call it Reels on Instagram.
well, right, but they're taking, I think, right, they're taking stuff that's often created on TikTok, and they're just, I guess, they're downloading it or recording it. And
Instagram hates that, by the way.
I bet they do.
They penalize you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that because when I shared my TikTok to Instagram, it only got like 42 likes. And I usually get, at least 200, 250 likes a post.
Right.
So everybody go out
Bragger.
to Where Gals Wander and like my real post from TikTok just to defy them. Okay, so let's talk about something really important. Let's talk about where you shop and how cute you look in all your photos, like from a fashion standpoint. Like seriously, we talked in the beginning about the boots, but you're
All right, guys, I'll see y'all later. Have a great.
Okay, bye. So, like, how do you pack? Like, if you go on the road for 6 months or however long that you said you were gone,
Right.
and you always seem to have different outfits and accessories and look so good, like, share your secret about how you figure out what to pack.
Zan, it's so funny that you said that. It must be like a girl's thing that we recognize these things.
Yeah.
But okay, so when I go on a long road trip, I usually pack half of a suitcase. So let's say I'm doing a trip in January, which is still really cold. So January 2020, when I packed, it was in Maine, like -9. So I had my Canada Goose on. I was freaking freezing. And when I was heading down the coast, they're all different kinds of climates. And it went from rainy one moment to super hot and humid, super cold again. So what I usually do is I pack warmly if I'm leaving from a cold location. I'm just going to pack a little bit because those clothes aren't going to serve me in a sunny location like Florida. So then as I go to, more and more areas, I'll stop at a vintage shop or a thrift shop. If any one of you follow me on social media, you know how much I'm a huge fan of upcycling. I love thrift shopping. I cannot say enough about it. It is amazing. I don't wear an outfit usually more than once. So imagine how much money I would be spending if I was just wearing all my clothes once and I bought it at like a department store for full price. But the clothes are so great there. I will stop in different cities along the way. So I'll go to Asheville, I'll go to New York City, I'll go to Miami, I'll go to a thrift shop or what have you. I'll buy clothes. Let me tell you, Miami has like the most amazing thrift stores I have ever seen. Beautiful designer clothes. Many of them still had tags on them. I actually bought so much one trip that I had to ship boxes back to my place in New England. But that's how I like to put my outfits together. I like to do it based on whatever location I'm in, whether that's wearing dresses or wearing sweaters and cute beanies. I like to mix it up and have fun.
Yeah. You definitely have like a signature style, very feminine, very fun. Yeah.
I sometimes like to be a little edgy too, or, depending on the location and what my mood is.
Yeah.
Or like boho or beachy. I definitely have fun.
How would you describe Adam's style?
Adam's style. Oh, goodness. I would say you're very... what's the word? You're very like, I'm going on a mission, almost like a la Indiana Jones, I would say.
That's a compliment for him.
I will accept that
look.
answer.
Yeah.
Great move, Geeves. Great move. You are smart too.
Actually, I saw your pictures on your website and I'm like, you know what? He does look like he's going on a mission. I love it.
Yep.
Very trendy.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that. And now, I have another question, but I don't want to. Is there any more that you want to talk about style though? Because this is an area you two are better at talking about this than I am. But I'm sure many watching find this quite fascinating. So I don't want to end that.
No, I mean,
prematurely.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who want to get started on social media platforms like Instagram or TikTok and such, what advice do you have for them when it comes to selecting outfits and clothes and camera angles and all those other things that, I think hold a lot of people back because they're just like, I don't know how to make this work?
So I would say there was a time in our social media world where you were only successful if you had the perfect, pose, the perfect outfit. It was a very Instagram signature look. I would say today, I'm starting to feel that we are moving away from that signature look and just into something more authentic, which I love because that's my brand, Real Girl Review. I love being just real and capturing the moment rather than, forcing the pose. So I would say as long as you have a phone, I don't shoot most of my photos with like a professional camera or anything. I just have like a little Canon I sometimes take for fun on road trips. But I take most every picture with my Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus phone, and that does the trick for me. The camera quality these days is so incredible. It like mimics like professional camera quality in many ways. If you don't have money to buy like all of these different like expensive designer labels and everything, that's totally fine. Just go to literally like your local Goodwill. I love Goodwill. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Love Goodwill. I've gotten so many amazing clothes that boutiques nearby like passed down, like if they don't sell it in stores, they give it to Goodwill. And so many things with tags still on them, many things like major designer labels, even like couture, I found there, believe it or not. It's like, vintage finds. So just pick some things up that are within your budget and, be in your style. Don't try to be anything but you. Just embrace who you are and just let that translate, to your fans. Because people can tell when you're not being authentic. Yeah. So, just be yourself and people will relate to you and respond to that. And just take whatever fun photos you want, just in the moment. If you're having water from a coconut in front of the ocean, take a picture of that. Or if you're doing your nails and want to share that, take a picture of that too. People just like feeling connected to you. And that really translates well.
Love that. And I do want to go shopping with you because I definitely am
anytime, girl.
A thrift store girl myself. Right? So yeah.
Geeves, here's a more of a philosophical type question. Why are you doing this? That you are driven, you work so hard at this. What's your goal with your platform?
My goal with Real Girl Review is to reach the people who have been discouraged by some of the more flawless images that they've seen. Sometimes we look at social media and think that it's real because, it's like an untouchable alternate universe where everything is just perfect and pretty all the time. And that's not how life is. And so my goal with Real Girl Review is to shed light on all of the imperfect moments as well. And quite frankly, I think that those, bad and ugly moments are just as awesome sometimes as the good moments. And they certainly make for the best stories. Like, tell me that like you've ever forgotten something really bad that happened to you on a trip. You haven't. Like, Zan, you're going to remember that forever, that you broke, your arm and hand and wrist. So I don't know. I just like to tell people to embrace life. We only have so much of it to live. Life is too short. Just go out and live your life and don't worry that everything is not all perfect because it's never going to be perfect. And honestly, if it were perfect, maybe we wouldn't appreciate it as much. So I hope to inspire others to just be themselves and be positive, and hopefully I can make a few people smile along the way. If I could do that, then I think that like mission accomplished pretty much.
So I'm seeing a lot of good. I don't see any bad, and I certainly don't see ugly.
Oh, you
share with us some of those stories.
Yeah, all of the stories where I talk about the bad and the ugly are in the blog. I do a lot of review type blog posts. Bad services, bad restaurants, places that I've been to where the people were just so unfriendly, or, I had to cancel my trip because, bad weather. I've gotten stuck in Amsterdam literally like 3 times. So I share a lot of different stories, but they're fun. They're all in, good fun.
And where are you headed next? I know you are always on the move.
That's right, Adam.
What's coming up next?
So next, in a few weeks, I'll be embarking on a new road trip down to Florida. At first, it was just supposed to be to visit my boyfriend's family. But then we're like, you know what? Why don't we just make this a fun vacation? So we're going for a few weeks, and we're going to make stops along the way in Atlantic City, DC, all of, the coast, East Coast's best places. Also, Savannah, I know that you're a Georgia boy, Adam.
I am. So yes, here in Atlanta, and Georgia's been home. So Savannah, which is a few hours away here from the Atlanta area, but Savannah is certainly a piece of Georgia and very unique. So you've never been to Savannah. This is your first trip?
This is like my third Savannah trip. I love it so much. Every time I'm in Georgia, I always come back. I can't resist.
Another great area, similar, it's also on that same side of the state, is St. Simon's Island. Have
Really?
Yeah. So if you were in Savannah and you're going to Florida, not to tell you what to do here, but you could.
No, please do. I love recommendations.
Because so if you're, I think that's what, I-95, you could go down the coast, probably very much on your way. I don't know what your plans are, but you're probably going, if you're going to go Savannah.
Going to Tampa, yeah, and other parts of Florida.
But it's probably, and I think it's probably 2.5 hours south of Savannah. And then it's not far off the interstate. I mean, you would exit and then go toward the coast. But look it up, St. Simon's Island. And it might be worth spending, grabbing lunch there, or
that sounds great.
Spending a night there or something like that.
That appeals to the foodie in me.
I'm sorry, say that again?
That appeals to the foodie in me. You just hit it right on the money when you said lunch. You had me at lunch.
Yeah, and there's some great places to stop there, and it's also more of that classic Georgia coast.
Oh, I love that.
It's a Georgia coast. It's not the same as Florida. It's not the same as LA. We got our own thing going.
I love that.
It's pretty different. And we have a lot of jellyfish, but that's another story.
Is it like Jekyll Island?
It is. In fact, Jekyll Island is very close. Have you been to Jekyll?
I have. I love Jekyll.
Okay. It's like Jekyll. Oops, I don't want to say this, but I like it better than Jekyll.
Really?
It has Jekyll is a little more rustic, and I guess I would normally like that. But of the two that you compare, St. Simon's, you get this small southern town, very small, and it's right there on the coast. So anyway, check it out if you.
I will look it up. Thank you for the recommendation, Adam.
And now back to our regular scheduled programming.
Well, I was going to say, and if you do bump into Adam down there in Atlanta, if you could take him shopping with you, because as we all know, he only has 4 shirts. So he can use some help. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to. I love men's fashion.
Well, nobody said it would be fashion, which is getting close. Oh my God.
I accept the challenge, then. Let's do it, Adam.
Yeah, I know. What have I gotten myself into? Or what has Zan gotten me into? That's really the bigger question. But
isn't that the question every week?
Hey, listen,
Exactly.
awesome stuff, Geeves. Fantastic to get to spend some time with you on Saturday. And you are, I think you refer to yourself, did I get this right, as a smile influencer?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I like to influence people with a smile, make them smile too, hopefully.
Well, and you do. Your platform does. And as we got to know you today, a little bit about your story and your heart and how you approach all of this, I know that if our audience, if they're in the audience watching this right now, and they aren't already following you, they're going to be, and it's going to help brighten their day. And I think you're very good at that. You have a gift. So congratulations.
You're so sweet. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah. I would also say, if you're watching right now, go ahead and hit that little smile emoji if Geeves made you smile during this interview today.
Yeah.
Just share that.
I want to
with
know
her.
if you smile. Leave it in the comments below.
Absolutely.
You know what I realized about you guys, and I love this? You combined both of your brands for Wander to the Edge, The Edge of Adventure, and Where Gals Wander.
One of us was brilliant and came up with that name. I'm not saying who it is, but one of us was brilliant in coming up with that name.
It's true.
I love
It's
it.
true. She did, and she's very creative, and in fact, that was exactly what you pointed out. That was exactly the thought was, we both care a great deal about the individual platforms. We feel, a calling to do those things, and yet we wanted to create something that brought both, kind of brought those two things together, but also has its own thing. I mean, this is its own thing. This is
very unique. I think what you guys are doing is great, and you're inspiring a lot of people with your different interviews. And I love both of your personalities and energies. You just brighten people's day. You definitely brighten my day. I've watched several of your shows in the past.
Oh. Hey, do you want to hear a secret?
What'd you say?
Do you want to hear a secret?
Sure.
You want to hear something else cool? Okay, so look, over by Adam, do you see the little compass logo?
Yes.
Did you notice that the way that it's lined up? So I don't know if Adam picked this because he does all the creative visual stuff, but you emphasize the W and the E, which is wander to the edge.
Yes.
And also, I'm on the West Coast and Adam's on the East Coast.
That's what I was literally just thinking right now. That is brilliant.
So
I love that. I love little Easter eggs like that. That's so awesome. You guys are brilliant.
Well, we have a great time, and we have it's an honor, but it's so much fun to get to know people like you. And social media, don't get me wrong, social media, all these posts, they all have a role, and people do get to know you through that, and it's important. But also to kind of break people out of their shell a little bit and just talk to them, get to know them, get an outsider's perspective on it, and let people get to know you. I think that's also valuable. And so anyway, thanks for taking your time to do that. Thanks for influencing so many smiles, and for taking the challenges that you've had in your own life, and not only have you turned them into a positive, you've turned them into something meaningful for you, you've also done that and continue to do that for other people. And that is very important. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, Adam, you're going to make me cry.
And you look amazing while doing it.
Oh, Zane. Thank you so much, you guys. When you first asked me to come on here, I was just like, this is so awesome. This is exactly the kind of shows that, I would hope to be on, because you guys, I think what you're doing is amazing. And keep doing it, because you're inspiring so many people like me.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you.
It's so nice.
It does. All right. The check's in the mail, Geeves. Thanks for saying that.
And make sure that you tune in next week, because every Saturday it's me and it's Adam. And this is what we do right here on Wander to the Edge.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys.